Good morning, Fort Friends. It's Friday and it's almost the weekend.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Remain standing for the pledge to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Is it Mr. Grace?
It'd be Mr. Gray.
Mr. Grace, what makes the history of this church so important to our community?
Well, what makes the history of New Hope so important to our community, to Royal City, is that the fact that the church has still been in existence for 163 years. And because New Hope is, again, an African-American church that was erected in the settlement, that the settlement, again, as we just said, that the slaves were able to worship and worship right there in their community as well as in their own fashion of worship. So it just, keeps us in a realization of what this church means not only to Royal City, but even to the settlement or the people of Joe Bailey community within the city right now.
Mr. Lindy, what makes the history of this church so important to our community?
Well, I would actually follow up exactly on what Pastor Grace said on that, because the greatest injustice in American history was slavery. And from a historical perspective, we can't imagine that today, but it existed. And this church was founded and people worshiped in it that had to endure that injustice. And we today have to recognize the commitment that people at that time and from then forward have given, who had to suffer from that injustice, and we had to overcome the segregation and things that we experienced in our recent past even. And I'm sure that Mrs. Scott could address that, because she grew up in the church in the 50s and 60s when we still hadn't made a lot of the progress we've made.
Yeah.
And so we have to recognize and honor the sacrifice that the people who attended there gave to make Royal City and our community, Rockwall County, what it is.
Mrs. Scott, what makes the history of this church so important to our community for you?
Well, when I consider, as he said, growing up and the people that grew up, that were ahead of me, it gave us a place where we could grow, where we could learn how to be leaders. So we had someone to look up to and to encourage us to do the best we could be and be the best we could be. I could stand, and I knew I had a voice where I might not have had it anywhere else in the city. And where is Browning Elementary, that was the high school for a long time. That was Ralph J. Bunch High School. And so people from the church were instrumental in getting that church built. And so that's why it's unique to the history of the community and to the people that still live there and have gone on before.